Step into the heart of waterfowl heritage along the iconic Illinois River. This storied region is where tradition and conservation collide, offering a glimpse into the rich history of duck decoys, historic hunting clubs, and the natural beauty that attracts waterfowl year after year. Guided by passionate experts, we'll uncover the artistry of decoy carving, the evolution of wetland conservation, and the lasting legacy of this remarkable waterfowl haven.
So here at the museum, in the Center for American Decoys, we're hosting a exceptional and incredible collection, Thomas K. Figge's Illinois River Decoy Collection, called the Masterworks of the Illinois River. And we have over 75 examples of some of the finest Illinois River decoys ever made. It has been called an Eden, or a paradise that the river provided a habitat that we just don't see anymore. And due to that habitat, it attracted tens of thousands of ducks on a regular basis. And because of the habitat and because of the amount of waterfowl in this area, it produced decoy carvers and hunters who were hunting not only for themselves, but for a pretty strong market. And they would send these birds up to metropolitan areas like Chicago and St. Louis. And that would be around the turn of the century is when that starts to happen. Carvers in this area start to carve for sporting hunters and clubs. And the competition increases as more carvers learn the trade. And so you start to see the decoy evolve in a lot of different ways. So the main takeaway that I want to make sure any visitor that comes to the Center for American Decoys is that the first being that the carvers and the artists that made these decoys, they would be rolling over if they saw their decoys under glass in a museum. These were made as tools for hunting. They were a functional object, and now 100 plus years later, we have them on display as material culture of this region. And the second would be that our position on the Illinois River and carvers that lived here and made decoys is they're regionally significant and unlike any other place in the country.
First of all, what you see is an accumulation of almost 60 years plus, at least. Thousands and thousands and thousands of miles and knocking at doors and asking about them. Flea markets, gun shows, everything. Money-wise, I don't know how you could accumulate this much anymore. It was so much fun finding them. There's a difference in the definition of collecting is changed today. When I started, you went out and collected them at the source. You collect them and brought them in. You didn't get on the internet, on eBay, on your phone, or an auction and just raise your hand and buy one thing at a time. Now, you see these 400 decoys, I must have had 15,000 to keep these 400. Now, out of those 15,000, a lot of them were firewood, but a lot of them were good that I sold. You know, I bought rigs of Purdue's, 20, 30 at a time, Walkers a dozen at a time, Graves 2 dozen at a time, and so on. You cannot do that anymore. All you could do now is go to the shows or the auctions. Collect what you want and get the best you can afford. Do not think buying as an investment. Not anymore. Don't think you buy a decoy at an auction and walk out the door think it's going to be worth X amount of dollars next week. It's not. You buy them because the love of owning them and appreciating them, not financial gain. It geared me to Illinois River Decoys, and it geared me to original paint. I had it burnt in my mind. I don't want a repainted decoy. I don't want a decoy painted black. A retear I can live with, not a repaint. But I was fortunate enough to live where I lived to be able to get original paint. The decoys survive better than decoys used on the East Coast in saltwater. The decoy used in saltwater won't have a life expectancy 1/5 as much as an Illinois River decoy. It's like duck hunting. Do you miss seeing tens of thousands of ducks that used to explode out of our grounds that don't do it anymore? Yeah. We used to go down the ditch. I'll show you a ditch we used to go down. 10, 20,000 mallards every morning. Now there's 0. I don't know what the answer is. Is this stuff going to be worth as much as it is today, tomorrow? The only decoys, great decoys that come around now are ones where people died or got a divorce. The kids don't want them. They get recycled. Recycled. The father of the Illinois River carving was Ellison, Robert Ellison, Bureau, Illinois. He started carving about 1880, died in 1915. He started the whole deal. His decoys, 2-piece hollow, nice paint. When you get into Charlie Purdue, he was famous for calls. All these, the 2 bottom shelves are all Charles Purdue's. He would make them and they go and see him. Charlie, I want a call with my name on it. And he would carve this thing, 3 ducks on it, put your initials or name there. So he decided that you get extra walkers or extra Purdue's, you trade them out east for other decoys. And I like decoys from all areas, but my favorite is Illinois. And the shorebirds all come from out east. Most of them from Bill Mackey, who was a famous collector, and all these started in 1940s. And you get up here, that's Mason Merganzas from the Mason factory and a Mason crew. Now, that's a Hudsonian crew, and that bird was made before 1900. And they shot those birds. And these shorebirds, behind them, you got Boyd's, Bowman Bum, and Elmer Kroll. Up here, Gus Smoke, Wisconsin. Up above here, the Flying Pintail Ira Hudson from Virginia. Fabulous piece. I always liked Winchesters. You got 86 Deluxe, 92, and so on. Over here, these are Winchesters, 1 Marlin, the rest are all Winchesters. This one is unique because it was made for the Bureau County Sheriff's Department, and it's stamped Bureau County on the barrel. This is what it is now. The Wetland Initiative, Dixon Wildlife Refuge. And it used to be, starting in 1870, the Hennepin Shooting Club. They own 3,000 acres here, another 4,000 acres across the river. They own where Snatchline is, they own where part of where Princeton was. They owned it all. Their East Marsh was over 3,000 acres, and then they had the West Marsh. It was before Undercliff and before the Snatchline Club. So they controlled about a total of 7,000 to 8,000 acres on both sides of the river, 20 members from Chicago. They had 2 houseboats. They kept one in Hennepin And in the hunting season, they bring one down here, and they come by horse and buggy across to the ferry at Bureau and take it across to Hennepin, and then come down the river to the houseboat. They took the trains from Chicago to Bureau to get here. By 1905, that drainage district come in effect, and they drained it all and were forced to sell all their holdings. A lot of them went across the river, and they formed the Undercliff Club, which transformed into the Snatchawine Club. So, boom. In 2001 or 2, they turned this back into what you see now.
So these are artesian wells. These ones on the property here are about 36 feet deep. The ones at that end with the elevation change are 39. Those are 33. These are about 36 foot deep with the ridge right here and the river out that way. So you've got a lot of ground pressure. Those are just perforated bowls down into pipes. And we've got over 200 of them here on the property. You can see behind me here, we've got an excavator going on a barge, trying to keep our ditches cleaned out and our levees built up. The constant struggle we deal with here on the Illinois River, we've got a lot of silt comes down through here. Keep it accessible, we've got to keep them cleaned out to keep our moist soil management going here. This is the Douglas compound over here to the west. This will all be pumped out here in about 2 weeks. We're at the end of June, and we strive to get pumped out sometime in July. River's up a little bit right now, but again, kind of the constant struggle here. So, and to our east is the rice pond itself. It's its own cell. It's about 700 acres. 500 of that mostly rest. We hunt just the fringes of it, and that's pretty much our normal practice is we hunt the fringes thing.
Illinois is part of the Mississippi Flyway. Illinois is a large region, has historically been a large corridor as a stopover area for migrating waterfowl. That, I would say, fed into and why there is so much rich history in this area. And we see so many historical older duck clubs because for many years, Illinois, specifically the Illinois River Valley in the area that we're in, it has been a really large corridor and a prime stopover area for waterfowl as they migrate through in the fall and the winter months.
We're trying to keep water at certain times of year. We're holding water most of the year. 8 to 9 months out of the year, we're keeping water on our ground just to let it off for the moist soil management and then putting the water back on for the ducks come September.